going to start out with a leg rig for our character. So we need to figure out where the pelvis is, and we're going to place a locator at the pelvis, and then we're going to place a locator for the top of the femur, the knee, the ankle, the ball of the foot, and the toe. So create locator. Scale it to kind of check it in the front view. Maybe about there. Check it in the side view. It's got to be about the center of the legs. Yeah, that's pretty good. And actually, when we look at this sculpt and the way it's meant to have the hip joint right around there. Forward just a hair. Kind of working with that fold into the geometry. Zero that back out in X. Duplicate it. And right about there. Down just a teeniest smidge to work with that curvature. Duplicate it for the knee. Duplicate it for the ankle. And check it in the side view. Obviously that ankle has to go way back. Up a little. And the knee is pretty good. Okay. Ball of foot. I'm going to put that right on the ground. And I think I do want to lower my character just the teeniest bit. Okay. Grab that locator, push it forward, tips the toes. Then I hide the body. And there's locators for my joints. I like to do this so that if I don't like the joint placement when I test it, I can easily move these and reiterate. Having the locator trails makes for very quick iterations of trials and testing. So I want to be in my rigging menu set, skeleton, create joints. And now that these are placed where I want them, I just hold down V and snap, click, 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 click without fear, and they all just snap into place really fast. Okay, there's my leg joint chain, and we want to name it character. This is Joey underscore pelvis bind joint. Not every joint ends up in the bind, but you want every joint that's going to be in the bind named bind joint. So J underscore left. Actually, let's just name this femur hang on. Okay, yeah, we can only add prefixes, so underscore bind joint. And I can actually copy bind joint. So when I go to knee underscore control V bind joint, ankle underscore control V bind joint. Oops, got two underscores now. Ball O foot, control V bind joint, and that's what I call the ball of the foot. And yes, there's a lot more real bones in your foot, but the main bend happens around the ball of the foot, so that's why I call it that. Toe, control V bind joint. Okay, and then I'm going to select the femur, modify prefix hierarchy names, and let's see, it's going to be J for Joey underscore L for left. Okay, there we are. That's our left leg joint chain, and we're going to add the IK to make it move. So we go to skeleton, create IK handle options box. Sticky is on. Let me just reset tool. Okay, if you have your defaults, sticky is not on. You want sticky on. So there we go. And I click on the joint on the top of the joint chain, the femur, and then the bottom of the joint chain, which is in this case the ankle. And there's my first IK. And if I move it, it moves around the leg. And if I grab my pelvis, you can see it anchors the ankle. So now we want IK from the ankle to the ball of the foot, and from the ball of the foot to the toe. So I click on the little icon in the toolbox for last used tool, and I click on the ankle, and then the ball of foot, do it again, click on the ball of the foot, and then the toe. And so now I have 3 IK handles, name them J underscore L underscore ankle IK. Let's copy that, J underscore L, ball O foot IK, J underscore L, toe IK. Select them all, and you can see they have translates in them. You want them to not have translates in them. You want to be able to move them back wherever they came from when you screw up their placement or grab them accidentally. So to help idiot-proof the rig, modify freeze transforms. Okay. Then we're going to set up a control, create NURBS primitive circle, W to snap that to the foot. Let's look at the body, scale it till it fits. Modify freeze transforms. That looks, yeah, fine placement for the foot control. Name it Joey underscore left foot underscore control. And we're not going to just use this to move and rotate. We're going to use this to add attributes, or we're going to add attributes to this control, and then use those attributes to drive special rotations that we're going to create using the IK and groups. And that's how we're going to get things like toe tap and foot roll and bank. So let's check that out. We're going to say modify, add attribute, and we're going to call this foot roll. And I like to give this a minimum of 0 and a max of 10, default 0. Add, and because we hit add, we get to keep the window, and the next one Let's do ball O of foot bank, and we won't give that a minimum or maximum. Leave the default at 0. And yeah, these all have been floats so far. Add toe tap, add, and bank. And that has a minimum and a maximum of -10 and 10. So those are the different attributes we're going to add in to give our foot control some nice maneuverability. Okay. So I'm going to hide my creature with a layer, and let's look at what the IK are doing. So the IK only work through movement. They don't work with rotation. So if I grab that toe IK, I can move the toe joint with the move tool, but if I try to rotate it, nothing happens. So I want to cheat that and use rotation to make the toe tap. And I do that by grouping the IK. When we group IK, we're adding an extra transform node. A group is just another transform node. And so I can use the pivot point of the transform node to rotate, to move the IK with rotation. So here's my toe IK, Control G to group, and it looks like the settings are to create the group at the origin. That's fine. I'll snap it. D to get into the pivot, V to snap. Snap it to the IK. Oh wait, it's the group, so snap it to the ball of foot. There we go. And now if I rotate that group, you can see I'm rotating the IK, or moving the IK through the rotation of that group, its parent. So let's name that Joey left toe IK underscore group. Now the ball of foot IK, I'm just going to leave that be for now. The ankle IK. In order to get the foot roll, we need a pivot point for the ankle down here at ball of foot. So again, we group it. This time let's go up to Edit, Group Options box, and set the group pivot to center instead of origin. And we group it. And why that is the center, I don't know. Snap it into the ball of foot, and you can see when I rotate it, we get that ball of foot movement. The foot roll movement that we've seen. So paste for J underscore L underscore ankle IK group, stay consistent underscore group, and let's spell ankle correctly. There we go. Third time's a charm. No, it really isn't. Fourth time is victory. So then I want to group my ball of foot IK and my two groups. I'm just going to drag them under the foot control. And now when I move my foot control, you can see the whole leg goes with it. When I rotate the ankle, I get foot movement there. Now, to make walking simplest, I tend to want the pivot for this foot control right at the heel. So I'm going to turn my character on, D to get into the pivot, and then pop that onto the foot right where I want my contact point to be for walking. And it's a little weird because you would like hit it and then rotate forward in those like 1 or 2 frames. So I'll ballpark it around right about there. It's not quite perfect, but I can fudge that in on that 2-step or 2-frame from contact to down position. So now my foot rotates from the heel. It gives me a nice heel swing with just the foot control. Point and flex, all from that. And then I haven't connected it to the attributes yet, but when I look at the ball of foot, ankle group, there we go. Rotate X, there we go. Okay, so let's add in some connections. Let's use the node editor to do this. Node editor, and I want to load in the foot control and toe IK group and the ankle IK group. And I'll graph those out, and here they all are. So there's my foot control shape. I don't actually need its history anymore, so let's edit, delete by type history. And that's the shape node. There's our transform node. Open up the ankle group attributes. And I want, okay, foot roll. I plug out from foot roll into rotate X is what we just decided. So now, when I rotate X, or when I select ball of foot bank, and so now when I select the foot control and hit foot roll, right mouse button, there we go, let's go so we can see it. I gave that a max. I don't want that to have a max, so let's change that. Modify, edit attribute, foot roll as max, turn that off. Close. Let's try that again. Foot roll. There we go. Now we can get really far up to the point where the bones would snap. I'm okay with that. Just don't snap the bones when you animate. So node editor, super simply connecting foot roll. So now, if you're running and you're up on the ball of your feet and turning, you want the ankle to rotate off of the ball of the foot. So let's look at our outliner. Ankle IK group, that's Z rotation. Okay, so ball of foot bank, let's open up the rotation, there we go. And ball of foot bank goes into the Z rotation. So now when we click on this, ball of foot bank, you've got that nice active ball of foot movement for high-speed chases. There we go. And let's see, we want the toe IK group for toe tap, and I want to keep my foot control. Graph their inputs and outputs. Foot control shape, there's my ball IK group, or toe IK group. And when I rotate that, I'm rotating an X. Okay. So toe tap to rotate X. So node editor, really nice and fast connections there. Let's select the control, toe tap. There's the test, done and done. So now we want to set up some more pivot points that the feet can pivot on. Because all these foot controls are really about setting up different foot pivot points to mimic lifelike movement. Now, if you're running, you can also go up on the knife edge of your foot, or you can roll in. That's sometimes when people twist their ankles when they go up on the knife edge, or roll in, and is that pronating too much? I think maybe. It can cause some ankle damage, but it's also great when you're running. We do it all the time if we have strong ankles. So let's set up the possibility to rotate like that. I tend to do it with a couple more locators. Create locator. And I don't really need the locators. I could do it just with a group, but it's harder for me visually. And I want to split the difference, because you'd be going up on the ball of the foot and the heel usually, and so I sort of put the pivot halfway between the two. That would roll them up on both simultaneously, and I'll duplicate that locator, pull it over to the other side, and again place it so it looks like they can roll up on the knife edge of their foot from there. And I'll name that Joey underscore L underscore Outer Bank lock for locator. Paste in inner bank underscore lock for locator. Okay. I want this locator that I just made, the inner bank locator, we'll start with that one, to rotate the foot up when it rotates. So to do that, we need to put it into the hierarchy. So we've named it, we've placed it, freeze it, modify, freeze transformations. You want to do that for all controls of all types. Modify, freeze transformations, so they can always be zeroed out. I'll do it in the outliner, it'll be easier. Parent outer bank to inner bank, P to parent, and then inner bank becomes a child of the foot control. Drag it up, and then all three of these, 1, 2, 3, I don't want to get that child, I want to leave that relationship alone, so those three become children of the lowest locator. There we go. So now, when I select that locator, that whole foot rig is going up from that pivot point. And this way, it's going up from this pivot point. So now, I can't use a direct connection like the node editor or the connection editor would give us. Because when I rotate positive Z, okay, it's going to go this way, but I don't want it to pivot in negative Z from this locator. I want it to switch to the other locator at 0 so that we rotate negative Z on this one. Now to do that, we need something called a set-driven key. So we're going to use the bank attribute as the driver for the two pivot points to control the rotation of the two pivot points of those locators. So we want to be in the animation menu set, and key, set driven key, and we hit set, and it opens the window. Looks like I lost my selection, so I'll select the control, load driver, select the locator, load driven, and we said the bank is the driver for the rotate Z, and at 0 that's what we want. Key it. Now I'm going to set this to positive Z. So I'm going to set this to 10, bank to 10, and then inner bank. It's probably as far as you can go before your ankle starts to break. So let's commit to a twisted ankle at 60. Key. And let's test to see if we did that right. Select the control, zero it out, it pops back, and there we go. So 10 bank gives us 60 degrees of rotation, and nothing on the negatives yet. So we'll set this to 0. We'll keep the same driver, and we'll load the other locator, load driven, rotate Z for the outer bank, and we're at 0, so we key it, and then we're going to set the bank to -10. Whoops. We're going to set the bank to -10, and select the outer bank and rotate it Z to -60. Yep, there's the foot going off, looking totally broken. And so we key it. And now, zero out my bank, it pops to normal. Select bank, right mouse button positive, right mouse button negative, and there's the foot bank with the set driven key. Boom de boom. Easy peasy. And then we're ready to do the same thing on the other side. So we hide the body, select the leg, and let's go back to our riggings menu set, F3, skeleton, mirror joints options box. Search for, we want to replace _L_ with _R_, changing left for right. Okay. Let's try crossing the YZ axis. I think that's the right one. Yes. Okay. So what we get for free is that joint chain named right, and we get these IK. Modify, freeze transformations. I'm going to duplicate the foot control, Control D, pull it away before I snap it into place. First I want to delete all of the IK out of this, so I shift click on this to open everything up at once, and I look for anywhere there's one of those IK, 3 IK, yep, delete those. So we get rid of the IKs, and we'll parent the other ones in, and then we'll select the top, which is our foot control, and we'll go up to modify, search and replace names, and again L underscore right underscore and apply, and there we go. Everything is properly named now. We can get rid of the one after that Maya added, and now we can no, not D, we don't want the pivot, we just want to snap that to the ankle, don't want to snap. Let's move this over. And do this in the front view. Because that's at the heel, so I just want to line that up perfectly so it's centered right there. Yeah. Let's look at the body. Control is nicely centered on this. It's just the two banks that are not right. So we'll and these groups are centered right. So let's just parent these two groups up under the foot control. Grab that top one because its child will come with it. Line them up on the outsides of the feet. So now the banks. Wait, that's inner and outer. I'm going to rename them. Easier than switching them for me. So now the inner's the inner, the outer's the outer. Drop these two in, and let's see, the ankle IK becomes a child of the ankle IK group. The ball of foot IK is just going to be a child of that inner bank locator, and the toe IK is a child of the toe IK group. There we go. All you need to do then is redo the connections with the node editor and then do the set driven key for the bank, and that's your leg rig. Have fun.